Welcome, Aries. If you're hearing these words right now, it's not a coincidence. The universe chose this exact moment to awaken something within you that has been sleeping for a very long time. Perhaps you can already feel it, the air around you shifting, the rhythm of life changing, as an invisible door begins to open before your soul. The next 20 years aren't just another chapter. They mark a new era, a time when you no longer have to chase the world because the world will begin to move around your light. So take a breath, let your shoulders soften, and allow your heart to lead the way. Because right now we are crossing the threshold of a cosmic dawn, the dawn of 20 years of rebirth. For you, dear Aries, the sky of October 2025 is opening a new doorway, a moment when time itself seems to pause. So you, Aries, can take a deeper breath and feel the rhythm of the universe pulsing inside your own heart. Something in the air feels different, a quiet yet powerful current, as if the cosmos is whispering to you, it's time. Time to walk through the gate between past and future, between who you were and who your soul has been waiting to become. Each of us has a destined moment, a moment when life shifts, not with thunder or noise, but with a sacred stillness that awakens awareness. For Aries, October 2025 is that moment. The next 20 years aren't just an astrological cycle. They are a journey of rebirth, a journey of awakening, prosperity, and compassion that rises from deep within your spirit. I used to believe the universe moved like an endless river, never wrong, never lost, only that we humans, in our need to push forward, sometimes forget the flow, forget that we're drifting away from the source itself. And maybe the most sacred thing the universe ever does for us is not to make us move faster, but to make us stop. Stop to see, stop to breathe, stop to remember why we began. If you listen closely enough, you might feel a rhythm, your heartbeat aligning with the heartbeat of the universe. That's the sign your soul is ready. Ready to step beyond the scars of the past, ready to drop the roles that no longer fit, ready to open your heart to what has yet to be known. For so long, Aries, you've been trained to fight, to strive, to climb, as if life were a battlefield, and strength was the only way to survive. But now the universe doesn't want you to fight anymore. It wants you to be the light. Light doesn't compete to shine, it simply shines. And when you live in your truth, the world around you begins to shift in ways you could never have imagined. As every new cycle begins, old doors will close, and sometimes the hardest part is saying goodbye to what once felt impossible to live without. But even in loss, there is grace, because only with empty hands can you receive what the universe has been saving for you all along. And that gift is you, the stronger, calmer, more complete version of your Aries soul. This October isn't just the start of another astrological year, it's the opening of a new chapter in your destiny. A chapter written in light, in courage, and in the quiet knowing that real strength isn't found in speed, but in conscious stillness. I want you to picture this. The night sky filled with stars. You stand there alone but not lonely, beneath infinity itself. No noise, no one around, just you and the small, eternal flame inside your chest. That flame has never gone out. It is you, raw, brave, and true, and in that moment you understand, nothing is ever truly lost. Everything is simply finding its way home. That's why this October isn't just another mark in the stars. It's a call to awakening. For millions of Aries souls, souls that have walked through storms, only to learn the beauty of gentleness. The universe is opening a 20-year path before you, a journey to turn the fire of action into the light of wisdom, to live not only for yourself, but for everyone you touch along the way. A new chapter has begun, but before we move forward, we must understand the fire itself, the source of every Aries journey. Because to step into this new era, you must return to where it all began, to the first spark of your light, to the place where your true strength was born. To the sacred beginning the universe calls, the Aries flame. There was a time when Aries was born in the thunder of battles and the glow of unfinished dreams. You grew up believing that to be seen, you had to lead. To be loved, you had to win. And to never be forgotten, you had to shine brighter than you did yesterday. But now, as a new era unfolds, that fire is changing. It no longer burns wildly to conquer. It is becoming something softer, a light that listens, guides, and warms the hearts of others. The Aries flame is a sacred gift, a divine spark the universe placed within you. It's the symbol of life, of action, of beginnings. But for so many years, perhaps you've used that fire to fight challenges, to fight fear, to fight against the silence of the world. And sometimes that same fire made you tired. You became exhausted from always being the strongest, the first, the one who was never allowed to fall. From the eyes of the universe, Aries was never born merely to conquer. You were born to illuminate. Because true strength isn't about defeating others. It's about helping someone else find the light within themselves. When you learn to use your flame to light rather than to burn, the world around you begins to transform. Quietly, gently, like candlelight warming a darkened room. I've seen so many Aries souls carry the scars of over-effort. They smile brightly, yet their eyes hide fatigue. They stand tall at the top, but deep inside, they only wish to rest, to be understood, to be allowed to be vulnerable for once. Perhaps what the universe wants to offer you now isn't another summit to climb, but a new definition of power, where compassion becomes strength, and gentleness becomes the highest form of leadership. A conscious leader doesn't use their fire to command, but to guide. They don't stand above, they stand among hearts waiting to be lit. They don't seek to be celebrated, they seek to make others believe that they too can shine. Aries, you were chosen to be that kind of leader, because within you burns the flame of life itself. And when that flame merges with compassion, it no longer harms, it heals. Maybe you're wondering, how do I keep this fire alive without letting it burn me? The answer lies in stillness. When your actions come not from the need to prove, but from the desire to love and uplift, the flame balances itself. It burns just enough to warm your heart and those you touch. This world needs souls like you, souls brave enough not only to go first, but also to pause and wait for others. Souls who know that strength isn't about control, it's about understanding. Souls who turn competition into harmony and victory into connection. And you, Aries, you are the symbol of that spirit in this new age. Ask yourself, when was the last time you did something purely out of kindness, not to prove that you could? When was the last time you helped someone, simply for the joy of seeing them stand tall again? When you rediscover that reason, the fire inside you becomes softer, more beautiful, and infinitely more enduring. And one quiet afternoon, when the autumn sun tilts gently across the rooftops, you'll realize the most beautiful thing your fire ever gave you wasn't victory, it was warmth. The warmth of life, of humanity, of the inner light shining outward, touching others in ways words never could. In that still moment, the universe will smile because you will have understood one of the oldest truths of action. Actions born of love never run out. They are a river without end, flowing from one heart to another, soothing the nameless sorrows of the world. And perhaps right then, as you feel that gentle current moving through you, you'll begin to hear a faint sound, a whisper rising from deep within, a tender, sacred reminder that to keep your flame burning bright, you don't need more strength. You need to listen. Listen to the divine silence, the quiet voice of your intuition, calling you home. There are moments in life when we believe we're moving in the right direction, busy, determined, constantly proving that we're strong, that we have everything under control. But then, on a quiet night, when the wind brushes gently past the window and the world falls into silence, we suddenly realize we can't hear our own voice anymore. Dear Aries, maybe you've lived your life through fire, acting, pushing, letting instinct lead every choice. But now God and the universe are calling you in a different way, softer, deeper, more sacred. It's no longer the voice urging you to run faster. It's an invitation to slow down, to listen. To hear your heart, your soul, and the silence between two breaths. That's where the presence of God lies. I used to think intuition was just a passing feeling, an invisible breeze, too fleeting to trust. But as I've moved through the years, I've come to understand that is how God whispers to us, not through thunder or miracles, but through stillness. He speaks in small nudges of knowing, in that quiet yes that doesn't need an explanation. in that fragile light that still manages to show us the way through the dark. Intuition isn't distant or mystical. It's the voice your soul has carried since the moment it was created. But in the rush of life, we've learned to trust the noise, the logic, the numbers, the reasoning, more than the gentle sound that comes from within. And only when we grow tired do we finally see it. The mind may take us far, but only intuition takes us home. Aries, you are the sign of action, of strength, of courage. But in this new era, the universe is gifting you a different kind of power, the power of stillness. When you listen, when you stop trying to control everything, you'll notice something miraculous. Life begins to flow naturally. The things that once felt heavy start to move with ease. The doors you've been knocking on for years suddenly open, quietly, gracefully, as if someone on the other side had been waiting for you all along. Like a lake that can only mirror the sky when it's calm. The mind can only see the way when it stops stirring. Your intuition is that mirror, the reflection of your soul. The calmer it is, the clearer, the truer it becomes. And in that stillness, you'll realize something beautiful. You were never walking alone. God has been there all along, in your breath, in the pause between two heartbeats, in the tears you once tried to hide. Not everything in life is meant to be understood, dear Aries. Some things are only meant to be felt. Some truths can only be known when you let your heart lead the way. And when you finally trust that guidance, you'll start to notice God has always been sending you signs, a chance encounter, a sentence that stays with you, a dream that wakes you with a strange, glowing certainty. Have you ever followed a gut feeling and something miraculous happened? Maybe you stopped at a crossroads for no reason, only to realize later that moment saved you from heartbreak. Or maybe you took a leap of faith, stepping into the unknown simply because your heart said trust. And somehow, beyond that fear, a door opened into light. When you begin to listen to that inner call, you're not just hearing yourself, you're hearing the voice of the Creator echoing through every cell of your being. Each step you take becomes lighter, even when the road is uneven, because you know you're not walking alone. You're being guided, held, by a love greater than your own. And then, in the stillness of that sacred moment, when you feel yourself and God breathing as one, you'll notice something else. Your burdens aren't gone, but they no longer weigh you down. It's as if an invisible hand has lifted them, making every step a little easier, every breath a little freer. Perhaps that's the true miracle, that in learning to trust, you've also learned to let go. And letting go isn't about losing. It's about returning to peace, to grace, to the quiet truth of your soul. Because only when you learn to listen to the voice of your spirit can you be still enough to receive the next great lesson, the sacred art of letting go. Sometimes, life feels like a long journey we forget to pause in, to look at what we're carrying. We pile on responsibilities, promises, old wounds, and even the dreams that never had the chance to bloom. Each one quietly stacks upon the other, growing heavier with time. Until one day we realize we're no longer walking forward, we're just trying to stand beneath the weight of our own life. Dear Aries, you, the soul of fire and motion, once believed that carrying it all was proof of your strength. That only when you could do everything, help everyone, be flawless in every role, then, and only then, would you deserve love, respect, and acknowledgement. But maybe it's time to understand a softer, deeper truth. Real strength isn't about how much you can hold on to. It's about the courage to release what no longer belongs to you. I once saw an Aries sitting quietly by a window, hands clenched tightly, as if letting go would shatter everything. They were so used to tension, to carrying not just their own pain, but the unspoken sorrows of others. And then, for a brief moment, tears fell without reason. They whispered, "I'm so tired, I just want to breathe." And in that instant, I understood sometimes letting go isn't weakness. It's a prayer whispered from the deepest part of the soul. The Buddha once taught that suffering doesn't only come from what we lose, but from what we refuse to release. Burdens don't always look like work or responsibility. Sometimes they are guilt we've carried too long, the need to please everyone, the belief that we must always be strong. But in this new era, the universe doesn't want you to be stronger. It wants you to be free. Letting go doesn't mean turning away. It doesn't mean you don't care. Letting go is when you look gently at something that's become too familiar. A wound, a memory, a relationship, and softly say, "Thank you, but I don't need to carry you anymore." That is the courage of a soul that has matured, a soul that knows compassion doesn't mean self-sacrifice, and that saying no can also be an act of love. Aries, you've spent so many years being the pillar for others, but now you are allowed to lean on yourself. Imagine your body as a river. When you remove the stones that weigh down its flow, the water becomes clearer, lighter, and it naturally finds its way to the sea. In the same way, when you release what no longer serves you, you make space for miracles to enter. Don't fear the emptiness that follows. In that sacred emptiness, the universe finally has room to plant new seeds of peace, of creativity, of love. When your shoulders grow light, you'll begin to see the quiet truth. Life never wanted you to carry so much. It only wanted you to live gently, to be awake, and to be grateful for every breath. If today you could release just one thing, what would it be? An old duty that no longer brings joy, a resentment that's been sitting too long in your heart, or maybe the constant need to always be right. Let your heart answer, because when you let go, you lose nothing. You simply return to your truest self. When I close my eyes, I see thousands of Aries standing beneath the night sky, stars scattered above like countless prayers. They are no longer running, no longer fighting, just standing still, listening to the quiet voice of their soul. It's a small sound, but strong enough to stir the entire universe. I am ready. I choose freedom. And in that moment, something miraculous happens. The flame within you, the one you thought had dimmed from exhaustion, flickers to life once more. But this time, it doesn't burn to conquer or to prove. It burns to warm, to create, to renew. Because when your shoulders are finally light, your arms can open wide, and the light in your heart becomes a source of energy that warms the entire world. When a flame rises in the darkness, the first thing we notice isn't the light, it's the movement. A quiet, subtle stirring like the soul awakening after a long sleep. And that, Aries, is what's happening to you right now. After years of fighting, striving, enduring, a new chapter unfolds, gentle yet powerful. No longer the noise of competition, no longer the pressure to be someone else. In 2025, the universe calls you back to your most sacred essence, your creative fire. The same flame that once lit your beginnings, that once made your heart race. At the thought of something that made you feel alive, that flame never vanished. It merely rested, waiting for this exact moment, the moment you're peaceful enough to listen, brave enough to begin again. I've always believed that there are moments when the soul reignites, not because of something grand, but from a small spark, a fleeting idea, a forgotten dream, a feeling so pure it brings tears, because in that instant you remember who you are. Aries, this is that moment. You don't need to chase passion somewhere far away. Look at your hands, look into your eyes, listen to your breath. Everything you seek is already there. The light has been within you all along. The Ace of Wands, a symbol of new beginnings, represents this moment. It doesn't tell you to do more. It whispers, do what you love. Because when you create from joy, from the life pulsing in your heart, the universe moves the rest. You don't have to force your light. Real light never tries, it simply shines. I can feel the energy of thousands of Aries awakening together, souls who once fell, once went silent, once doubted their worth, and now standing up again, taking a deep breath and saying, I'm ready. Something magical happens the moment you believe you deserve happiness. Life begins to bloom like a flower you don't need to touch. It opens naturally because you've learned how to return to the most natural rhythm of your spirit. Aries, you were born to create, not just to survive. Creativity isn't limited to art or work. It's in how you cook a meal, how you say I love you, how you look at someone, and make them believe that tomorrow will be better. Every time you give from an open heart, you are creating light. Let yourself be curious, be messy, make mistakes, begin again. Don't fear failure. Failure is simply proof that you are alive. Remember, the most beautiful things don't come from perfect plans, but from moments when you follow your heart, even when no one else understands. A prosperous world isn't built on effort alone, it's built on inspiration. and inspiration begins. When we stop being afraid, when we open our hearts and whisper, "I can." The very moment you write, paint, speak, or simply smile at an idea that hasn't yet taken shape, you're sending a signal to the universe. I'm ready for a new beginning. And just like that, the miracles start to move toward you. When you allow your soul to create freely, you are healing the world. Because real light never shines alone, it spreads, it touches, it awakens. Everything you do from the heart will reach someone somewhere, even if you never know it. That's how the universe expands the circle of love. It starts with you. So if you're listening right now, and you feel something stirring, an old dream, an unspoken desire, a tiny spark flickering, trust it. Whisper softly, "I'm ready to rise, universe." Because the moment you say it, energy begins to move. Rebirth doesn't come from the outside. It begins the moment you choose to live. From your truest passion, when passion joins awareness, and action is born from love, you'll realize you're not just living for another day. You're building an era of the soul. And in that gentle light, where ideas turn real and the heart forgets fear, Aries steps into the most magnificent chapter of all. The age of prosperity and enlightenment, where your creative flame not only brings success, but illuminates the path for the world to follow. Prosperity for many once felt like a mountain to climb, a destination to reach, a dream earned only through sweat and tears. But for you, Aries, a new era is revealing a completely different truth. Prosperity is no longer a place you arrive at. It's the way you walk. It doesn't live in what you own, but in the energy you carry, the calm, the gratitude, the clarity that fills each breath you take. The next 20 years will be 20 years of learning what it truly means to live abundantly in the most sacred sense of the word. To be rich not because you have more than others, but because you found a quiet wholeness within yourself. When your heart is full, the world reflects that fullness back to you. Everything good, money, love, health, joy begins to flow toward you because you've become a frequency of light. I've always believed that Aries are the pioneers of the zodiac. And now, you're not just leading in action, you're leading in awareness. You're paving the way for a new generation. One that dares to succeed without losing compassion, to stand tall without arrogance, to shine without dimming anyone else's light. The world needs people like you, people who can hold power in their hands, yet choose to use it to uplift. People who can achieve everything, yet still pause to listen, to share, to heal. Because only when power belongs to hearts that know love can humanity truly evolve. Picture yourself, an evolved Aries, calm and radiant. Your eyes no longer striving to prove, but quietly shining. That light isn't blinding, it's warm, gentle kind. The kind of light that makes anyone who passes by feel safe, seen, and at peace. People may forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And that is real wealth. A wealth that never runs out because it doesn't live in your bank account. It lives in your heart. The prosperity of this new age doesn't come from competition. It comes from resonance. It's born when you live in the frequency of gratitude. When your actions rise from a clear and loving heart, abundance doesn't just arrive as material gain. It arrives as peace, honor, and positive influence. You don't have to chase opportunity. When you live in your truth, opportunity will find you. Aries, you are being prepared to embody a new kind of success, conscious success, where power is no longer domination, but awakening. You'll discover that even one kind act, one gentle word, one compassionate look, can ripple out far beyond what you can imagine. Look around the world. So many chase success but lose their peace. So many crave power but forget kindness. This 20-year era arrives to change that, and you, Aries, are the flame that leads the way, because what the world needs now isn't more winners, it's more healers. True prosperity is the balance between giving and receiving. It's knowing that happiness isn't a finish line, but a constant flow of gratitude. And when you become a source of light for others, that light returns to you multiplied. If you're listening right now, ask yourself, what am I really chasing, recognition or peace? Sometimes the answer doesn't lie in what you gain, but in what you're finally ready to release. When you stop searching outward, you realize the treasure has been within you all along, And perhaps in that still moment, you'll feel something beautiful, as if the entire universe is smiling at you. Because at last, you've understood. Prosperity isn't a dream to chase. It's a state of being lived, breathed, and shared every day. And when the lessons of these 20 years converge, when light, compassion, and wisdom unite as one, that is when your soul's true journey begins. No longer a journey of seeking, but a sacred return to the divine mission. The universe placed in your heart. The very moment you were born. There was a time when Aries believed the greatest journey in life was the one that took them far, far enough to conquer, to prove their worth, to find meaning in grand and distant things. But after walking through long nights of solitude, after victories that no longer made your heart tremble, you begin to see the truth. The greatest journey was never about going far. It was about coming home to yourself, to the place your soul has always belonged. Coming home isn't about going backward. It's about opening up, opening the door to the deepest room of your heart, where old wounds, quiet disappointments, and unfinished dreams still wait to be seen, forgiven, and loved. Every pain you've carried, every challenge you've faced, has been a test of the soul, not to measure your strength, but to teach you compassion, because only after breaking do we learn tenderness, only after loss do we truly understand gratitude. Maybe you've asked before, why must I face so many trials? But if you look closely, you'll see. Nothing was ever meaningless. Every tear you've shed was a drop of rain softening the soil of your spirit. And from that soil, the seeds of love began to grow. Then one day, you realize something profound. You no longer need to prove anything. You only need to be, to exist as the very gift the universe sent into this world. You were never meant to become someone else. You were born to be you. The fire inside you was never meant to compare with any other light, because it was designed to illuminate your path alone. True success isn't found in applause or spotlight, but in the quiet peace of knowing, I have lived truthfully. It's that moment when you stop seeking love outside yourself because you found it within. Aries, you carry the mission of a light bringer, but your light isn't a fire that burns, it's a light that heals. You don't need to strain to be strong or win to be worthy, because when you live as your truest self, honest, brave, and sincere, you're already shining. And that light spreads. It touches those who have lost their way, reminding them that they too carry a flame within. This world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs real ones, souls brave enough to live with kindness, to love even after being hurt, to rise and say, I still choose to believe. In a time of noise and haste, the presence of one peaceful heart is a miracle, and you, Aries, you are that miracle. Think of all you've been through, the people you've loved, the dreams you've lost, the regrets you've carried. Be grateful for them, for they've shaped the person you are today. You couldn't be you without them. Don't reject your past, embrace it as a sacred part of your becoming, because every chapter, whether dark or bright, was necessary for your soul's growth. And when you start to see life through the eyes of gratitude, everything becomes lighter. The burdens that once weighed you down begin to fade. You understand that no one can take your peace unless you let them. You stop forcing, stop searching, stop trying so hard to prove. Instead, you live simply, deeply, present in every breath, and in that simplicity you find grace. Grace isn't a reward for the deserving, it's a gift for those who pause and trust. Trust that even when the world shifts, you are still held. Trust that when one door closes, another is quietly opening. Trust that you've never been alone, for God, the universe, and the light within you have always walked beside you. When you move in grace, each day becomes a prayer, not through words, but through the way you live, with kindness, sincerity, and gratitude. Look around, so many people are longing for a compassionate glance, a hand reaching out, a smile reminding them that life is still beautiful. And you, Aries, you are the one who can give that. This journey doesn't end with you. It's the journey of all humanity, souls learning how to come home to themselves. Every time you choose love, you help heal the world. Every time you choose forgiveness, you rewrite the story of humankind. Thank you, Aries, for being here, for walking this path with light in your heart. May peace, prosperity, and divine grace always walk beside you. And if your heart has something to say, let it speak. Share your story of awakening, because you are not just a listener. You are a part of this great healing journey, a story still being written by the very light that lives within you.